Okay, we're in Yaakov. This is Berachot. This section is called Do the Dead Have Knowledge of This World? It has been taught the Christian should not walk in a cemetery with tefillin on his head or a Torah scroll in his arm and read from it. If he does, he comes under the category of he who mocks the poor offends his maker. Proverbs 17 verse 5. By flaunting his tefillin, he mocks the dead who are poor and that they cannot perform mitzvot. So they're poor in the mitzvah of tefillin because they can't do it anymore. Rachav said in the name of Rabbi Yehuda, a person who sees a funeral passing by and does not join the procession comes under the category of he who mocks the poor offends his maker. And if he does join the procession, what is his reward? Rabbi Asi says, Scripture says about him, he who is generous to the poor makes a loan to God. Proverbs 19 verse 17. A play on the similarity of malveh to make a loan and malaveh to escort the dead. And it says, he who shows pity for the needy honors him. Proverbs 14:31. The sons of Rabahia went out to work in the fields and as a result began to forget some of their learning. They tried very hard to recall it. Said one to the other, does our late father know the trouble we are having? Replied the other, how could he know? Doesn't it say about the dead, his children honor him, and he does not know it? Job 14:21. So you see, after his death, a person does not know what his children are doing. Said the other, do you really believe that he doesn't know? Doesn't it say, quote, he feels the pain of his flesh and his spirit mourns in him? Job 14:22. This is the very next verse. And Rabbi Yitzchak commented on this. The worm is as painful to the dead as a needle in the flesh of the living, which proves that the dead do feel. He replied, I'll tell you, it's their own pain they feel, but the pain of others they don't feel. The Gemara asked, is that so? Didn't we learn in a Braita, there is a story about a pious man who gave a dinar to a poor man on the eve of Rosh Hashanah in a year of famine. When his wife took him to task for it, he went and spent the night in a cemetery. Therefore, he heard the spirits of two dead girls talking to each other. One said to the other, my dear, let's roam around the world and let's hear from behind the curtain that separates this world from the divine. What punishment is coming on the world? Meaning in the divine judgment decreed on Rosh Hashanah. So said her companion, I can't go because I'm buried in a mat of reeds instead of a linen shroud. You go by yourself, and whatever you hear, you'll tell me. So the other one went, wandered around and returned. Said her companion to her, my dear, what have you heard from behind the curtain? She replied, I heard that whoever is going to plant after the first rainfall will find his crops destroyed by hail. So the man went and did not plant until the second rainfall. As a result, everyone else's crops was destroyed. Only his was not destroyed because it had barely begun to sprout when the hailstorm came. The next year, he again went and spent the night in the cemetery and heard the two spirits talking to each other. Said one to the other, come, let's roam around the world and hear from behind the curtain what punishment is coming on the world. Replied the other, my dear, didn't I tell you that I am not able to go because I am buried in a mat of reeds? You go by yourself, and whatever you hear, come and tell me. So the other one went, roamed around the world, and returned. She said to her, my dear, what have you heard from behind the curtain? She replied, I heard that whoever plants after the second rainfall will have his crops struck with blight, which destroys tender shoots but does not harm the stronger stalks. So the man went and planted after the first rainfall, with the result that everyone else's crops was blighted, and his was not. Said his wife to him, how come that last year everyone else's crops was damaged and yours was not? And this year everyone else's crop was blighted and yours is not. So he told her everything that happened. People said that shortly afterward, the wife of that pious man got into an argument with the mother of one of the girls, whose spirits the pious man had overheard talking. The wife said to the girl's mother, come and I'll show you your daughter buried in a mat of reeds. The next year the pious man again spent the night of Rosh Hashanah in the cemetery and heard the two spirits talking to each other. Said one to the other, my dear, come, let's roam around the world and hear from behind the curtain what punishment is coming on the world. Said the other, my dear, leave me alone. The things we discussed have already been heard among the living. The Gemara summarizes, wouldn't this story indicate that the dead know what goes on among the living and disprove the opinion that holds that they don't know? The Gemara answers, maybe someone else died and told them. Rabbi Shmuel ben Nachmani said in the name of Rabbi Yonatan, how do we know that the dead talk to each other? Because it says, shortly before Moses died, God said to him, this is the land regarding which I made an oath to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, saying, in Deuteronomy 34, verse 4. What is meant by saying, the word saying? The Holy One, blessed be he, said to Moses, when you pass away, say to Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, the oath that I swore to you, I have already carried out for your descendants, which seems to prove that the dead know and care about what goes on in this world. For if you would think that the dead do not know, what would be the use of Moses telling them? So you must conclude that they do know. But in that case, why does Moses have to tell them they know anyway that God fulfilled his promise? The Gemara answers, in order that they should be grateful to Moses. Rabbi Yitzchak said, making disparaging remarks about the dead is like making remarks about a stone. Some say the reason is that the dead do not know. Others say that they know but do not care. The Gemara challenges, is that so? Has not Rabbi Papa said a certain person made a derogatory remark about Mar Shmuel after his death, and a beam fell from the roof and broke his skull? Do you see that the dead do know and do care? The Gemara answers, a Torah scholar is different because the Holy One, blessed be he, avenges his insult. Mar Shmuel did not necessarily know or care about it. It was God who avenged the insult to this great man.